All right, 20 minutes on the clock. Let's do some real talk.
It's morphin' time.
Hello, this is Soundout here, and on today's video, we're just gonna talk. We're gonna have like a one-on-one, like a face-to-face, like just a casual discussion. It's gonna last 20 minutes. I have a timer. This is gonna be kind of maybe a new series, but what I want to talk to everybody about today is learning to let go of franchises. This is not particularly aimed at any particular fandom, but I will say that this sort of came up because of online discussion I've seen around multiple things over the weekend, and especially over the last week. Particularly the Power Rangers fandom, I think, sort of has been having a lot of this too. But it's a couple videos have come up from some other YouTubers that I've watched, and I'm like, let's give my thoughts on this. So essentially what I want to talk about is being able to move on from a franchise. And this is not to say that you're abandoning it or leaving it behind forever, but sort of letting go of your conceptions of it. Because the thing is, I love franchises, like clearly. I do a lot of stuff with franchise stuff on the channel. But there is a certain point that you will reach with almost any franchise that you follow and enjoy where you just stop liking it. It's happened to me with pretty much everything. I have hit a point with everything I love where I've fallen out of it and then I've come back. With some things I don't come back the same way. So basically what I wanted to do is kind of share some stories of my fandom experience with some things and how I've kind of reshaped some stuff. So I had some examples, some top line stuff. Basically, like with Power Rangers, kind of being a current example, when the Boom Studios comics kind of came out for Power Rangers in 2016, I kind of just was like, okay, cool, I can let go of the show being like my primary focus and focus on the comics. Except I didn't really do that because I kept complaining about the show and I kept going like, oh, why isn't Ninja Steel better? Oh, why is Dino Fury this way, etc., etc. But what I should have been doing was focusing on the part of the franchise I did really enjoy, which was the comic books. But I had this compulsive need to watch every episode of Power Rangers, and ultimately I have. Was it worth it? Maybe. In some cases, there was some good stuff that I enjoy through some of the weaker seasons, and overall it's still Power Rangers, and I still kind of enjoy that vibe. But in the race to make myself feel like I have to be a part of every single thing of the franchise, it burned me out of enjoying anything about the franchise. I did that to myself with Super Sentai a couple years back. I just kind of burned out kind of like halfway through Zenkaiger, and I was like, Don Brothers is awful, it's too different, and you know, oh, okay, King Oger looks cool, and slowly over the year King Oger aired, I kind of got my Sentai mojo back. But what I had done during the whole year Don Brothers was airing in the back half of Zenkaiger, I basically didn't watch any Sentai. I didn't really buy any of the toys. Like, I was just like, I'm just done. And I went and I moved on to something else. Start getting into Ultraman. I was like, you know what? I'm going to check out more Ultraman because the Mill Creek Blu-rays are coming out and stuff. And I was like, let me go check out more Ultraman. And then I got this deep love and appreciation for Ultraman, which I don't know if I would have gotten if I was like so hardcore focused on Sentai. And now my Sentai vibe came back with King Oger, and I got some more toys in, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I re-found what I loved about Super Sentai. And now I feel like I want to watch every season of Sentai. Not that I have to watch every season, but that I want to. Because legitimately, at the end of the day, do you have to have seen every single thing a franchise puts out to be a fan of it? No, you can have different levels of fandom. Not everybody needs to be the hardcore completionist nerd that knows every single detail about everything, because honestly, that's kind of exhausting, and I can't say I do that for anything. Maybe Thundercats. I know my Thundercats quite well. But even then, I have a gap, because Thundercats Roar, which was its like more comedy-focused reboot, I didn't like it. I didn't like the trailer. I didn't go crazy like people were like, oh my god, it ruined my childhood. I was like, I'll check it out. And I watched the first 2 episodes of it, or the first 4-part, or whatever it was, like the first, you know, initial thing of it. And I was like, I didn't like the humor. I didn't really like the animation style. I didn't like how it felt like just kind of regurgitating the 80s show back out. And you know, that's fine. And I moved on, and then I was like, okay, I'm just not going to watch any more of this. And I kind of just let go of that. And I've never gone back to watch it because I just didn't like it. And ultimately, in the end of the day, A lot of franchises nowadays used to kind of go for like one demographic, one group of people. Now they broaden their target audience, and that's great because that means more people get into it, but you're not going to like everything. Case in point, even with Power Rangers, the Power Rangers Boom Studios comics, still love them, still glad they exist. I don't really like Ranger Academy that much, but I'm also not a young adult teen person. I'm a 28-year-old man. Those Ranger Academy comics are aimed at the young adult teen crowd that's still in school. I haven't been in school in like 10 years, so it doesn't really appeal to me. And I've been buying it to support it, but I'm not going on like Twitter or even here going, it's the worst comic ever, because while I may not like it that much, maybe someone who's a young adult teen will really like it. And that's the kind of thing that it comes into. I can enjoy young adult teen comics too. There's a lot from DC, like Galaxy or Static Up All Night, that I really enjoyed. And those are young adult teen aimed books. But, Ranger Academy just wasn't it for me. And in the same vein, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return isn't it for me either. Because it's kind of like, it's Amy Jo Johnson's like writing it. And it's like, what if Mighty Morphin was the only team that existed, essentially? It's like, that's not my jam, because I like the other teams beyond Mighty Morphin. But if you're like a Mighty Morphin hardcore, that book's probably right up your alley. And it's kind of a neat what if thing, but again, I don't like that one as much either. So that's the kind of thing, is that like, as much as I'm like, I love the Boom comics, and yeah, I'll still buy those books, to have them as part of the print collection, I can kind of go like, yeah, I don't like that one as much. It's kind of, you have to kind of find your footing in that way. A good example would be Pokemon. You guys know I love Digimon, if you've seen like my collection tours recently or whatnot. I love Digimon deeply. I had a falling out with Digimon, surprisingly enough. It was during Digimon Adventure Tri, which was not a well-crafted series in a lot of ways, but more power to you if you enjoy it. I didn't like it, and every progressive movie that came out, I just started hating it more and more, and I was like, why am I even watching this? I was so mad at it, and I was just like, and I got really like upset. And then they announced like the Digimon 2020 reboot of Digimon Adventure, and I was like, they have no new ideas, I hate this is awful, maybe Digimon's over for me, and I stepped away from it. Then Digimon Adventure Last Evolution Kizuna came out finally, and I watched that, and I kind of was like, oh, okay, that's like the ending of the original adventure. And then I decided to watch the new show, and I decided to look at the card game. And the new show, 2020 was in like the 40s when I started watching it. And then I just kind of took it as what it was and really enjoyed it. Just kind of took it as like, oh yeah, this isn't like remaking Digimon Adventure so much as just like reusing these characters in a different setting. And I was more open to it. But I kind of had to go through my own like, I don't like this, rada, come back to it kind of thing. Sort of like with Pokemon. For me as a Pokemon fan, I've been a Pokemon fan since I was a kid. I mean, I was growing up in the peak era of Pokemon. But I kind of fell off. I fell off the anime during Diamond and Pearl. I didn't have a Nintendo DS, so I didn't play any of the Diamond and Pearl games or that era. I got a 3DS, was excited about Pokemon X and Y coming up, and I went back and I played Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black 2, White, and White 2. I pretty much played all of those within like a 2.5 year period. And then X and Y, so like a 3-year period, all those games. And I played like the heck out of them. And burned out, basically. And then so the thing was like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire I was still playing, but I wasn't like as into it. I didn't really go back to the anime. I only really watched the anime movies. And then after Pokemon Sun, I was like, I don't like this new direction. It's too hand-holdy. I don't have enough freedom, yada, yada, yada. And I just kind of dropped it and moved on to other things. Around that time, too, I think it was when Digimon Tri started picking back up and my Digimon senses were tingling. But then, like, recently, with Pokemon ZA being announced, which was kind of bringing me back to XY, which was also in the hype bubble for, started going looking at Pokemon again. I've been watching the new anime, and I've been playing Legends Arceus. I don't really want to go play Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield because those feel too samey to me as like the normal typical Pokemon formula. But things like Legends or things like Horizons with its like actual plot has got me interested. So now I've got kind of like, I'm not going to be hardcore, do everything involved with Pokemon, but now I'm like, that's kind of what I do with Pokemon now is I'm playing Legends Arceus when I feel like it. I'm watching Horizons when I feel like it. It's kind of a little side thing that I enjoy. Which is good, because I don't need to be hardcore with everything, because that is exhausting. So that's kind of like what I've done and what I've found. And then also, I think another thing that I wanted to talk about, because we're at the 10-minute mark now. When franchises end and you have no control over it, I have dealt with that a few times, many times. Here's an example. Tron. Absolutely love the original Tron film. I love Tron Legacy. I was all about Tron Uprising, and I thought that was going to be the future. Tron was going to be like this animated series format, and I was supporting it, and I was tweeting about it, and I was watching it. And then they threw it in a death slot and killed the thing because of low ratings, but it was like airing new episodes at 3 in the morning or some stupid thing like that. And I was like, oh, let me sign the change.org petition, let me do the hashtag, and nothing came of it. And then now we're getting a new Tron movie, which from what I've heard, I don't really vibe with, like creative team-wise, actor-wise. There's a couple of the cast I like, couple of cast I'm like, I don't know about this. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if Tron Ares is going to be like my thing. Will I check it out? Probably. Do I feel like I have to force myself to like it because otherwise there's no Tron? No. Like if there's like a giant, if I don't like it, I'm just not going to like it. I'll probably still watch it because of some of the things coming up. But I'm also not like sitting here going, oh, if it's not good, my life is over. Because that's kind of not a good, healthy way to be. Especially as a fan, you don't want to get too attached to things. So yeah, I mean, there is some benefit. Like we'll probably get some more Tron merch. We'll probably get some, maybe we'll get the 4K Blu-rays of the previous 2 movies. There's some benefits to new things. Same thing kind of going with this new Masters of the Universe movie that's coming up, where it's like once again set on Earth. But like we've had so many of those movies announced that it's like, is that even going to happen? I don't worry about it. I'm not stressing about it. I'm hoping they would make a better creative choice and let's have He-Man on Earth, considering Star Trek can do a different alien planet every episode and they're on a streaming budget. But yeah, it's kind of like you just kind of have to like go with, well, that's what they're doing and hope it succeeds. But then it's also important to not like force yourself to support something you don't like just to see it succeed, because then always the thing is like you got to speak with your wallet as a fan. Like that's how the companies will know what you want and what you don't want. If you hear about a movie and you're like, I'm not sure about this, I don't know if I want to support it, then just don't support it. Like even if it's part of your favorite franchise, that movie's going to live or die based on the general audience. Like a movie in particular, a movie's going to live and die by the general audience, not by the fan base. Because if all the fans show up, that's still not enough money to make to continue a franchise thing. So you got to kind of just like, all right, let's see if the general audience likes it. Like Transformers 1 that's coming up, a lot of people are like, oh, this isn't my Transformers. It's like, yeah, it's also not made for you. It's made for a general audience. And if the general audience loves it, then that means they'll have more money to make the stuff you like. And that's kind of a good way to take it. But again, if you want to support it and you like it, go for it. But if you don't, then maybe just step away from it. It's like, you don't have to worry about it because they're, as much as like online chatter gets reception in a lot of things lately just don't pay attention to it, I think one of the bigger examples of like fan petitions would be like in the DC realm. DC fans love doing fan petitions and campaigns and stuff. Like, the Release the Snyder Cut thing finally came to be after years and years and years of people asking for it. But it sort of became a toxic space in how they were asking for it. Kind of like how Star Trek Picard's proposed spin-off, Star Trek Legacy, has sort of become a toxic space because people have taken that as, this is the only Star Trek show they should be making. They shouldn't be making Starfleet Academy because that's not what I want. And it's like, well, someone's going to enjoy that show. And hopefully a lot of people enjoy it and it continues to allow other things to happen. But you have to kind of go with the reality of they're not making Star Trek Legacy right now. They did release the Snyder Cut, but apparently it didn't do that well either. So it didn't really do anything besides like, hey, we got to finally see this work. And now Warner Brothers doesn't listen to that because Coyote versus Acme trends all the time, to release that film that they're trying to shelve or sell off or whatever. They won't release it, even though there's a lot of attention for it. And people talk about the Looney Tunes all the time. There's, the Batgirl movie got thrown in the trash despite any campaign to save it. It seems like corporations lately just don't want to listen. So you don't give them your money in places you don't want to give it to them. You got to pick and choose your battles. I went through a thing with a show. It was called Young Justice, another DC show. Season 2 was canceled by Cartoon Network. This big campaign started up where people were binging the show on Netflix and tweeting about it to get it a third season. And even the creators were like, hey, they're looking at Netflix numbers more than anything. And I was part of this thing of like leaving the show running on my Netflix account to run the numbers up. And I did that, and I finally got season 3, and season 3 was admittedly not as good as the first two. I didn't think it was as strong. And then I was like, oh, I hope we get a season 4. And then we got season 4. And by the time season 4 came out, because it took so many years for all this to happen, by the time season 4 came out, I was like, you know, I'm enjoying this. I think this is great. I think season 4 is probably my second favorite season overall. I think season 1's still my favorite. But I was like, I really like season 4. And yeah, there's a little bit of a cliffhanger tease. Yeah, they can make more. But I'm not going to tweet about it this time. I'm not going to do the binge number thing. I'm just going to let it go. If it gets a season 5, cool. If it doesn't, that's fine. Because I feel satisfied with that ending. And so I think sometimes as fans, we kind of push for more things to get made. Push for more things to come up because we may not be happy with like what the last thing is. The last entry. We're like, oh, we're not happy with this. We want another thing. Try it again. But at some point, you will realize what is the stuff you enjoy, what is the stuff you love from a franchise, what is the stuff you don't love from a franchise, and you ultimately sit there and say, you know what, this is what I love, this is what I don't, and then you can move on from it. And I think that's kind of the healthy thing to do. Is like, I know some people got riled up about like the Knuckles series being exactly like the Sonic movies, where there's a lot of human characters, and it's like, if that's not your jam, you got other things. You got the games, you got the comics, you got, you know, other shows like Sonic Prime. Like, if you want just Sonic characters, just the animal characters, there's other things to go do. You don't have to force yourself to watch the show, like the Knuckles show, if you don't like that style of show. Because that show was watched by a bunch of people. It was really well enjoyed by a general audience. I liked it because I like the wedding scene in Sonic 2. So the Knuckles series was right up my alley. My parents loved it, just like they loved the Sonic movies because, you know, for my mom always says, like, I don't just go to these movies for the animal characters. I go there because I like the human characters too. And that's an aspect that widens the appeal of the Sonic franchise. So if you don't like that, there's other things to go do. And if you've read every single Archie Sonic comic and every single IDW comic, you've watched every single show, go watch them again, read them again. I guarantee there's something you forgot, because that always happens. You know, sometimes the healthiest thing is to just go back and read something you already read, or watch something you've already seen, because you'll find things that you kind of forgot about. It's inevitable. It's like with Star Trek. If you don't like the current direction of Star Trek, go watch some of the old stuff that you did like and watch it again, because there's hundreds of episodes out there. And, you know, I do that with comic books. You know, if there's like like currently I haven't liked the main run Spider-Man comics in a long time. And so sometimes I'll go back and I'll be like, I still like Spider-Man. I'll go read like an older storyline I liked. Or I'll look at one of the spin-off titles. Like, I'm not reading the main Amazing Spider-Man, but I'm reading Spectacular Spider-Man because I like that vibe better. That's just what you have to do. And I think the healthiest thing to do is not latch yourself into and put yourself in a box where you're saying, I have to follow every single part of this franchise and I have to like it. And if I don't like it, that's not my fault, that's theirs. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, and I wear this Star Wars t-shirt as an appropriate final message for this, ultimately, at the end of the day, when a franchise has gotten large and it starts making more than one type of thing, you don't have to like it all because it's not all made for you. And that's cool because it might be made for somebody else who's going to enjoy it. And be grateful that there's other people enjoying the things you don't like in a franchise, because that means more people are liking the franchise you like. Share the love, spread the knowledge, have fun with it, because that's what fandom is supposed to be. It's a sharing experience. Not like, oh, this isn't tailor-made to me and therefore everybody else is the problem. Like, you just gotta let some things go, you know? Pick what you like, don't follow what you don't like. It's pretty much, I mean, it sounds simple that way, but I know the complicated feelings behind this, and I hope I portrayed that well here, because I have gone through these cycles before, and I see a lot of franchises and a lot of fans kind of going through these same cycles again. And at the end of the day, just, try to remember, you loved it for one reason, you can still love it for those same reasons, even if not every single thing that they make fits those same reasons. And that, I got 25 seconds on the clock, I think I did pretty good here. That is my main point. it's okay to let go of a franchise if it's just going in a direction you don't like. And it gives you the opportunity to find something new. So on that note, if you enjoyed this, I'll do more of these like real talk kind of things. This is kind of fun. Just put 20 minutes on the clock, talk about a subject. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know on franchises you've let go and maybe come back to, or let go, never come back to, because ultimately that's valid too. I want to hear your thoughts. Hit subscribe and notification bell if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Check out, of course, the Discord in the link below. You can check out our live streams Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can check out the channel members, which help support this channel directly. Let's give a big shout out to our channel members. Special shout out to all our channel members, including our captains here: Infinity War-Torn, Spin-54, Super Shadix Boom, Toma K, Jamie's World, SSJ4 Jason, Psycho O's, MasterBin95, Infinite 1985, Jeremy Carr, Sentai Ranger Donnie, Ramon Gray, Muhammad Faiz Danyal, Sutargo's the Kaiju from Krypton. Thank you to all of you for your continued support. You can also find me on social media at Soundout12 across most platforms. You can find my awesome graphic designer on Discord and social media at DarkClass643. You can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for nerd news and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.